Let's talk a little bit of lore. You guys know how I feel about the old gods? You guys know how I feel about the old gods. Evidently, there's some real old god shit coming in 10.0.7. Whether it's a new old god, I have no idea. Evidently, that's what Doran thinks. I just want to check this out real quick, see what this is all about, and then we're going to get in and start pug rating. So let's see. New old gods confirmed. I don't know.
So we have the craziest information thus far, legit data mine stuff from 10.0.7. In my opinion, the biggest lore bomb for this entire expansion that could really rival the Chronicle. This is like those Ultima documents we discovered a few months back, but like triple down, and we have some really crazy stuff. So a fifth old god is mentioned. It is said that the old gods and the elementals were not contained as we had previously believed. Apparently, there is a different name for Kalendor. Something lies beyond the waves related to the old gods that the Titans hid from everyone, separate from Kalendor.
That's right, I forgot about that line back when we went and saw the Zara and shit.
At a new continent. Furthermore, there are other mentions of the original Black Empire and how the Titans have been rewriting history. Keep in mind, there is a ton of info, and I'm going to do my best to be as concise as possible, so let's immediately get into it, as there is just so much stuff to unpack. So before we get into it, I want to show you guys a Magic Spoon cereal.
Gotta check out the advertisement.
Other than playing WoW, for you guys that follow me on Instagram, you might know I spend a decent amount of time working out as well. Now, generally,
holy crap. Doran is fucking jacked. What the hell? Where'd this come from? What the Oh my god.
Wow, for you guys that follow me on Instagram, you might know I spend a decent amount of time working out as well. Generally, I avoid cereal as it's usually just a bunch of nothing, a bunch of empty calories, but I was genuinely blown away by Magic Spoon. It has 30 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 net grams of carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and only 140 calories per serving, which is just insane. Not only does it taste like a really good cereal, but it can help you really hit your nutritional goals as well. They've sent me a ton of boxes. I've tried all of them. My favorite flavor is frosted, but they've got a bunch of them with a variety pack coming in cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. So start your e-ride with Magic Spoon. Use my link to grab a variety pack and my code Doran to get $5 off any order. They're also so confident that if you don't like it, you will get a refund, no questions asked. So make sure that you click the link or go to magicspoon.com/Doran or just scan the QR code and get a great discount.
Doran.
So to get right into it, there is actual data mine information right now from 10.0.7, which, as I had anticipated in the previous videos, has a lot of reveals in what is to come in the future. This is like those Ultima documents, but even more crazy, as in it really restructures the lore from the ground up. Like, seriously, this might be one of the biggest changes to the WoW lore pretty much since the Chronicle, or the retconning of the Chronicle and the Fareem stuff we had discovered in the Shadowlands. Of course, we don't have all the information at the moment, but I'm guessing we aren't going to get like whole expansion reveals about how Dragonflight is going to end in 10.0.7, but we are returning to Forbidden Reach, and we are going to learn how the Draktyr were really created, and most likely we are going to learn about what Deathwing has really been working on. To catch you up to speed, you might know that we had already discovered Azerite in Forbidden Reach. Razagir was imprisoned there, personally by Neltharion through a void portal, and apparently Forbidden Reach is sort of a cursed place, Dragons Avoid, which is why it's called that. Seeing that we had discovered this document,
I never made that connection.
Makes sense why.
Between the name.
Going to be the place where Neltharion ultimately saw through all the Titan BS and really started experimenting on the old god magic. So the document itself that we can discover is called The Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth. This is actually a book that dates all the way back to vanilla, like it's already in the game. This is old stuff. Some of it was retconned by the Chronicle, but I'm guessing they're backtracking on that at the moment. Now, I wouldn't be making a video if Blizzard just recycled a 20-year-old book. Instead, this is that document, but with a lot of footnotes that were intended for Neltharion's library, which essentially counters all the original writing. It says exactly this: an ancient copy transcribed by an unknown hand for Neltharion's private collection. Notes even scribbled in the margins. And I gotta say, these notes are pretty insane. We don't really know who the writer is, but based on what is written, it seems like this was done by someone that is heavily affiliated to the old gods. Some are even speculating that it could be Xal'atath. So right off the bat, let's get into the
where is Xal'atath? Where the hell is she? This bitch just walking around somewhere, or just is she in the? She came out of the dagger, went through a portal, if I remember right, and that was the last time we saw her.
Interesting one. In order to keep this video concise,
She's
I'm
doing
not going to
something.
read everything verbatim, but it says this. The Pantheon shattered the old god citadels and chained the 5 old gods far beneath the surface. Without their power, the elementals were banished into their plane, and with the elementals' departure, the world settled into peaceful harmony. The Titans saw that the threat was contained, and the note says this. Fools, the powers of the elements was not so easily contained, nor could they bind the influence of the old gods. The peace the Titans offered came only through oppression. So, before we get into the note itself, let's quickly take a look at this, and it says that there are 5 evils. You guys probably know Khatun, N'Zoth, Y'Shaarj, and Yogg-Saron. However, this might just be the first official confirmation that there is, in fact, a 5th old god. Now, before someone writes in the comments, this is actually taken verbatim from Manila. I'm aware of that. Back then, we were told that 5 old gods exist, and then there was retcon by the Chronicle, but I really don't think...
The retcon of the retcon. Yes. Very Blizzard-esque.
This is the case. I mean, first of all, pretty much the entire Chronicle was retconned after it retconned the old stuff, and it's just unreliable information at this point, so it's hardly something to consider about retconning old stuff. Second, why would Blizzard intentionally keep this part in the 5 evils? If they really was retconned, they would have updated it. Of course, as this is just data mine stuff, it could be possible that this will get removed when the patch is released, but I do think it is a bit too much of a coincidence. This really goes in line with the Xel'Atath theory, and that Xel'Atath could have been the 5th old god that was consumed by the others. I know people think that Gahun from BFA is the 5th old god, and he kinda is, but he was created after this by accident by the Titans. However, this document...
I don't think an old god can be created by the Titans.
Says that 5 evils were chained when the old god citadels fell. So this could potentially be a huge confirmation. Then we have another huge reveal how the elements were not contained and the old gods were not bound, which means that the elementals exist outside the elemental realm, and there's a huge foreshadowing for what is to come in the near future. However, in order to keep this video concise, let's quickly cover the rest. Second page.
Could we get an elemental expansion with like Ragnaros on the front? World of Warcraft, by fire be purged, the expansion. I think that could. I think we're gonna play more into the elemental shit. Mind you, the primalists that we're killing right now, like Razageth today, that's all elemental influence and shit. So we could be heading into in some kind of elemental expansion.
Talks about how the Titans, when they arrived, encountered hostile elementals that worshipped unfathomably evil beings known as the Old Gods that
And then there you go. Elemental expansion goes to Old God expansion. I'm fucking big braining this shit. I'm already telling you guys what's coming 2 expansions down the line.
Rid of the invading Titans. The note says this. Evil, according to whom, it was these Titans who aligned the glory of the Black Empire. This, of course, goes directly in line with the fact that the Titans hid the advancements of the Black Empire that we previously knew. However, I do feel like this is kind of dangerously towing the line on how the old gods are actually the good guys. The third page directly goes with this. It talks about how the Pantheon waged war on the elementals and the old gods and mentions the 4 elemental lieutenants, all of you guys know. The note says they looked upon the most impressive empire in existence and hated that they hadn't made it themselves. In a fit of jealousy, they tore it asunder. We also have the 4th page, which further continues this. It talks about how the chaotic forces faced off the colossal Titans, but despite their immense evil, they could not contend with the Titans' saviors. The note says, the Titans sure do love to make themselves seem grandiose. History is, as always, written by the victor. Now, personally, someone that is into actual history,
that is true, inside and outside of WoW.
However, I do get where they're going with this. I feel like they're just tripling down on the Titans are liars and the old gods were not as bad as we believed. However, it remains to be seen how far they're going to take.
The old gods were not as bad as we believed. That's fine, but they're definitely not trying to convince us that the old gods are good in any way. There's just 2 sides to the story. That's all.
This supposed benevolence of the Black Empire.
Their goal was still to corrupt the world, so
the fact that they are now quite obviously not the good guys, I can't really stand behind the fact that the Black Empire was a nice place to live in any way, shape, or form. Next on the line, we have 4 more pages, and some are even more interesting than the first one, especially this one. So, the first one talks about how the Titans empowered the races to fashion the world, how they created the Earth and the Giants, and how they moved and shaped the Earth until a perfect continent remains. The note says this. The author of this story is either a liar or a fool. Were they truly ignorant of that which lies beyond the waves, or were they merely commanded to spread Titan propaganda? The fact that the writer doesn't fall for Titan BS aside, I'm kinda confused on this one. Ignorant of that which lies beyond the waves, like what does that mean exactly? I feel like it is really open to interpretation. Could it be referencing an N'Zoth that was and is kind of beyond the waves? Personally, I doubt it, as we had known that his prison was beneath the waves. Could they be talking about a new continent beyond the waves that might be the remnants of the Black Empire? In my opinion, I think this is sort of a contrast. The document references one perfect continent the Titans made, Kalimdor. However, there is apparently something beyond the waves. This might mean that there is some sort of a continent beyond it that the Titans could not reshape.
I think, how would they explain a continent being hidden from the Titans for this long? I don't understand. Just another island expansion, but it's an old god island.
And then they had to hide it. This could potentially be a huge hint for future expansions. Next on the line, we have this. The document talks about the Well of Eternity and how it was the fount of life and how it was the source of power for all the native beings. The note says, the Titans wounded the world with their recklessness, then insisted it was done by design. Preposterous. It was the old gods who nurtured the flesh of this world, not the Titans. This, in itself, is of course nothing new. We had known for years that the Well of Eternity was a wound when Yashiraj was pulled out. However, in my opinion, this further confirms the theory that Azeroth is actually elemental in nature and that the various cosmological forces are trying to get it to their side. So before the Titans, old gods try to pump it up with the Void and align it to the Black Empire. I'm also getting some hints that this guy...
Man, and more I'm starting to think that I was right about that elemental expansion shit.
That is writing these notes for
Azeroth being elemental related.
Old God Alliance, so he's definitely biased from that perspective as well. Now, furthermore, we have this. As twilight fell on the final days of their labors, the Titans named the continent Kalimdor, the land of eternal starlight. The note says,
I had no idea that's what that meant.
The Titans' final erasure of the wonders that once existed. They even stole away the land's true name and replaced it with one of their own. This in itself is just a continuation of everything, but it's strong.
Bitter about the name.
You might learn this true name, and that Kalimdor is a Titan enforced word, and that Azeroth's landmass get an entirely different name. Now, lastly, we have that the Titans found Azeroth and moved from planet to planet, but they were unaware that Sargeras was undoing their work. The note says, pathetic. What sort of saviors of the universe failed to notice that their efforts were being undermined by one of their own?
Colonization, wow,
this is of course nothing new, but it kind of confirms that the Titans are really not the ever-knowing gods they present themselves to be, because they couldn't figure this out. Now, of course, these pages are not exactly in the correct order, and of course, all of this stuff is data mined info from 10.0.7, which, keep in mind, is not yet released, so some of it is subject to change. However, I think this might just be the biggest lore bomb we had ever received in Dragonflight. I think we should wait a bit for new hints so that we can confirm what is real, what isn't, but it is now very likely that there is, in fact, a fifth old god. There might be a hidden old god land, and I think in the very near future we're going to learn more.
See, this right here, this picture right here, this was supposed to be the old god land. This is the Dragon Isles. This is the Dragon Isles. That's what this picture is from. This was vanilla WoW right here. This was like just a concept drawing of what the Dragon Isles could have looked like. And yeah, old god influence was everywhere. And that original thought. Now it looks like they removed, this obviously doesn't exist in the current Dragon Isles that we have. So maybe they've decided to just have an old god island. A separate old god island instead in a future expansion, maybe.
Going to learn what Azeroth really was like in the ancient past. Was the Black Empire really that evil? What was the original name of Kalimdor? And what were these ancient wonders that the Titans had apparently destroyed and hidden that existed on Azeroth? Furthermore, in my opinion, the most interesting hint is that the old gods and the elementals were never truly contained, which in my opinion is a huge foreshadowing for what is to happen as soon as 10.1. We have these four foreshadowing for the next raid, elementals in nature. We have Ridicron, the Primalists, and I think we are now at the beginning of all the old god and elemental lore changing completely from the ground up, which means that some exciting times are going to be ahead. Thank you for watching. Check out Denetrius and the Dreadlords have an agent in the green Dragonflight by clicking on the screen, and check out the Academy for videos of real world history. See you next time.
I think that we're gonna get elemental shit before we get old god shit. I really do. In the direction with a Ridicron and everything, and the elementals play that role with the proto drakes. I think we're gonna get a nice dose of elemental shit coming our way, which is cool. We haven't really delved much into the elements. I mean, we've fought the big boys. Ragnaros is obviously one of the original big bads of World of Warcraft and Vanilla WoW. And it looks like now we're going to really delve into what the elementals are all about. So that's pretty cool.